trying to understand what's going on amongst yourself, and then we'll discuss this when you're done. Now, we have about 2 lessons left, today and next week. I wanted a sutta that's not too difficult, not one of those depending on you to understand the analogy. Something very straightforward. This is the practice. I wanted a sutta that explains the practice and explain it well. And for those of you, I assume that the sutta class, the people who come for the sutta class are the serious practitioner. Of course, my assumption could be wrong lah. Otherwise, why would you come? So hardworking, you have to work, and then after that, at the end of which you pop down here, it's a lot of effort. So I'm assuming, minimally, you must be a practitioner of sort. Modest one, very good, very good. And you really want to know the elements in the sutta that can directly help you in the practice. So it's not just me going on and on talking and having fun, but it's looking at what the Buddha said about the practice, and no, I don't want, and where's my thing? What the Buddha said about the practice, and how you can, on your own, in future, learn to read these suttas. Okay? You will find, I'm pretty sure by now, so many lessons later, you are now aware that each sutta actually has a ton of meaning. It's not just a superficial reading and the words, but it's actually a ton of reading. And each sutta does carry a lot of information on the actual practice. Okay? Now, this particular sutta, in terms of just the language, it's easy to understand. So in your discussion amongst yourself, look at the concept, because Buddha assumed his disciples knew what he was talking about. He was talking to monks. So he would just introduce the concepts with no details. For instance, he talks about 5 hindrances, full stop. He moves on. You, amongst yourself, you want to pull out the 5 hindrances. And then discuss amongst yourself, why is it an issue for the practice? Okay? And whatever else that you can pull out in the course of discussion. I'm going to make this relatively shorter. It's a short sutta. So 20 minutes, and then we get started. Can? 20 minutes. Okay, go. Okay, now, hello. I know you're having fun. 5 minutes more? You want 5 minutes more? Okay. 5, 10, what? Continue, have fun. Must have fun with Dhamma. Okay. How? Hello? Would you rather continue talking? You want to adjust yourself a little? Oh, no, you can sit in your group, because you're going to represent your group, remember? Now that you have disintegrated the group, I don't even know where they are. Now, what we're going to do, I'm just going to make a few observations and run it by you and see whether you agree with me. Did you enjoy yourself? You are discussing Dhamma today, but you really enjoyed yourself, right? This is what it means when you come together, discuss Dhamma, And in the process of the discussion, you grow. You grow in understanding, and you grow in fellowship. And in this practice, it is not easy to try and figure things out on your own. It always helps if you have friends who share your aspirations, your faith, that desire to practice, that virya, and then you egg each other on in the meditation. And if you can do all those things, the panya will grow. Buddha had said that there are various ways in which one can understand the Dhamma. One is to sit and listen to a Dhamma talk. It must be one of those Dhamma talk that leads you to understand. Two is when you spend time reflecting on what you have read. You actually, in the old days, is what you have heard, you go off and you spend time reflecting on it. Three is when you actually sit, meditate, and then in the process of meditation, it dawns on you. In the process of meditation, you see the phenomenal. Four is when you are chanting. Not reading and reflecting, but chanting. Because as you're chanting, you're going through the words that he had spoken. So if you chant in English, unless you're a fluent Pali speaker, otherwise it won't work. The fifth one is when you are sharing Dhamma, when you are actually teaching, talking. What you did earlier was to do a few. What you did earlier, right, made you go through it, week after week I make you go through it, is actually to discuss, to read, to reflect, and hopefully through all this you will remember better. So in the process of your daily life, maybe some of these points that came out in the course of your discussion or after the talk, you actually remember better. And that if you do meditate every day, some of these things, some of these information will be stored in your mind and they will pop up for you to see in your meditation. That's how these sessions are meant to help you. This is not a session for you to just learn the Dhamma. Actually, it's active engagement so that at the end of the day, you have a proactive store of information that you can use when you meditate or you can use in your daily life. Okay? That's why all this, what I call hardcore Dhamma. Okay, now your turn to speak. Who wants to start? Which group wants to start? Start already, you give the best point and then you can just close shop. How? Okay, shoot. Shoot. How? Who want to give it a shot? It's not difficult. That's why you all have so much to say.
In the past, alludes to the teaching on conditionality, causality, that nothing exists on its own. It exists because something causes it to come about.
Very good. Very good. Okay, did you all see that? Oh, okay. You can say, yes, I agree with him. But that doesn't mean you don't have to say something. Come, offer a thought. Good. Exactly. The point being that everything about your mental state, everything about the experience is causality. It's conditionality. Something happens because something else happens. Okay? Anything else? Yes. 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 What the Buddha had always said about the importance of being associating with wise people and having good friendship. This is where the Kalyana meter comes in also. But make sure it's Kalyana meter, not some other kind of meter. Mahjong kaki all play mindfully one can mindful, mindful, and then nobody stack up the cards. What else? Anything else? Hey, I thought there were many groups.
Basically, the outline two ways of stating all the important factors towards the enlightenment.
Yes.
The first three, like I said, the good friendship, dharma, and faith, are fundamental.
Good friendship, Dhamma, and faith. Okay.
There's only one thing that puzzled me at first.
Ah.
How can the five hindrances lead to ignorance? And one sister here brightened me up. Like, saying if you change the word ignorance to wisdom, and you realize that you have to eradicate all the hindrances to get wisdom. Therefore, the hindrances lead to ignorance. That makes sense.
Okay, so you work it out logically, lah. Okay. Okay, I will explain that in a while. Any other observation? You do recall that this, the objective of this course was to train people to train others, right? So if you're going to be trainers, you need to feel the compulsion to air your thoughts verbally. Of course, you can air it in a written form, which is fine. But today it's more verbal. Any other thoughts? You figure out what are the 5 hindrances? Yes, yes. Uh-huh. A first point of ignorance is not seen such that before this there was no ignorance and after it came into being. In other words, it doesn't just exist on its own. There has to be condition.
It means you're referring to craving for a system. Karma, that's why you come to the system.
We'll talk about this afterwards. Anything else? Right.
So it's condition.
Right.
Actually, the first part, the negative, there are only 9 observed, whereas the second part, 10.
Oh, okay. So you counted.
I counted.
Okay.
So regarding the nearest that will lead to the strongest factor is the 5 hindrances, which we have taken us through before.
Okay.
And within our group, we also discussed about 5 hindrances.
Okay. So you spent a bit of time discussing that. Okay. Okay. Ah, okay.
Then, of course, taking it through, the third one is this part is body, speech, and mind. And then when you talk about the fourth one, non-restraint of the sense faculty, it's the sixth sense faculty.
Yes.
Then from there, come number 5 is mindfulness and clear comprehension, which is the fifth samudana.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to observe and recall and recollect what you observe as an object, and then file it into the clear comprehension part, which relates to wisdom.
Okay.
So even though you don't understand, but you still file it away, and you take that to your wisdom, take care of it.
Okay.
Number 6 part is careless attention.
Uniso manasikara. Mm.
Which is do not pay attention, get distracted from what you are actually observing. You are distracted from the truth of what is supposed to be. Then number 7
Mm.
So it was being fed or sustained by not associating with good persons. So the good persons that we define are the Sapurisa, the eight individuals, eight types of individuals that is defined in the certification
Okay.
or the four Ks. So
Okay.
those who are actually on the pathway or have taken fruition.
Okay.
So then, of course, they talk about the rundown. Anyway, the next paragraph is just about repetition. They talk about filling up and then it flows.
Okay.
And then they use a metaphor about rainfall. So for raindrops, which is very little, it fills up and overflow, then it goes into lake, ponds, then lake, then stream, then rivers, then ocean. Then, so these will lead to ignorance.
Okay.
From not associating with two persons,
It leads you all the way to ignorance.
yeah,
Okay.
you are in that sort of group.
Okay. Now, good attempt at trying to explain something which actually it's all the way to realization. I introduced this sutta because in this sutta, if you understand it, you will realize what it means, the entire Dhamma. Okay? Did any of you see the Eightfold Path here? This is entire Eightfold Path. Unpacked. This sutta explains what it means in terms of Eightfold Path spinning in your mind. So Eightfold Path is not logical flow. Because of this, because of this. Eightfold Path is not that. Eightfold Path is a category. Buddha telling you these are the 8 things that need to be understood and practiced if you want to see the Dhamma. But when it comes to how it causes an impact in your mind, it's a spiral. It spins. You must understand that. So what this has shown, let's talk about ignorance, okay? Traditionally, the word ignorance has always been taken to mean a lack of understanding of the Four Noble Truths, yes? So this is your first one. If it were so simple, we all wouldn't have this problem. But indeed, it is that simple. What is this ignorance about? It truly means that you don't see dukkha as it is. Because you don't see dukkha as it is, you will have all kinds of mental formations that will lead you to craving. That's your paticca samuppada. Because embedded in your consciousness, you don't instinctively see dukkha as dukkha. You don't. You feel dukkha, yes, when things don't go your way and you experience the tanha, the craving, the preferences. Then you feel the dukkha. But when things go your way, you don't feel dukkha. You feel sukha. It's the shok feeling. If you understand dukkha as it really is, whether or not things go your way, you still see dukkha. You understand that? So this ignorance is truly ignorance of dukkha as the very essence of existence. And not realizing why is tanha so embedded in our instincts? And how do you really let the tanha go? Because we kept saying, you don't want it there, it's tanha. You want it there, meaning you don't want craving, you don't want something, or you want something, it's still a want. Then how are we supposed to stop it? You see what I'm saying? Right? You want something, I want to see the Dhamma. You don't want something, I don't really care. I don't want it. I don't want this. I don't want that. It's still a form of wanting. It's still tanha. Then how are we supposed to have it ceased? How is this tanha supposed to cease so that dukkha can cease? You don't see it. Don't realize it. Don't know it. And that's the governing, unfortunately, that's the governing principle of our mind. This absolute ignorance about the Four Noble Truths. We hear about the Eightfold Path. We know about the Eightfold Path. But, yeah, I know. I know I'm supposed to do this, but how does it work? How do they all come together so that it becomes, the Eightfold Path becomes the method, the way that takes us out of the craving, and therefore dukkha ceases. Do you understand that? So here the Buddha explains how. This is how the Eightfold Path is done. Okay? This dukkha, this ignorance, now you know what is the ignorance, huh? I've already explained it. Huh? This ignorance is fed by the 5 hindrances. Within us, there are 5 negative sets of energies. It comes on by themselves. They are the 5 negative types of energies. The instinct to crave, the instinct to be angry, the energy is to be angry. All those heavy, lazy, tired, lethargic energy. All those energies that make you spin like crazy, restless and worried, it makes you spin like crazy. And that energy that you want to know, really, what does it mean? All this skeptical doubt, that energy. They are there with you. These energies, as long as they are there flipping, flopping all over your mind, as part of your instincts, very difficult to see ignorance. You ask yourself, you want to practice. Yeah, but maybe tomorrow, like today, tired. I want to let go. Yeah, but I also got craving leh. I'm trying not to lose my temper. But anger comes up, ma. You see what I'm saying? All these ignorance is supposed to, when you're trying to overcome the mind instincts, because the moment you can nail down these energies and you start to see them fade, every time these energies don't come up, you can actually understand a bit more of the Dhamma. For many of us, you know what's a big obstacle? It's vicikicca. For many of us, a big obstacle in understanding the Four Noble Truths is actually vicikicca. I'll give you an example how vicikicca can work in your mind that caused you not to be able to see the Dhamma properly. Sometimes you tell yourself, cannot be so easy leh. Cannot be. Must be a bit harder. Has to be a bit chima. It must be like this. What do you think these are? Wisdom. This is your instincts to be skeptical, blabbering away by themselves. You sit and you meditate, you can't see for yourself that you're supposed to not think. Can't tell the difference between not thinking and thinking. Can't tell the difference between this and that. Why? Because there is this doubt, this doubtful voice at the back of your mind saying, are you sure it's like that? Are you sure? Maybe not like that. Does this fellow know what she's saying, what he's saying? That voice? That's vicikicca. That's an energy. And for many of us so well educated, that voice is very loud. We have to be extra careful about that voice. Okay? So you can see that this ignorance is difficult to fade because there are certain mental energies that make them stay. You want to practice this mental energy, that's very difficult. I said, you want to meditate? Today I work very hard, no need. These are mental energies, it pops up by themselves. The Buddha says, these mental energies can be fed on. And then he goes on to point out the 3 kinds of misconduct. What does it mean here? Why is it not the other way around? Because of the mental energy, it feeds the misconduct. It should be like that. How is it it's the other way around? You see that? Did it strike you that this is odd? Why is it the Buddha said the hindrances are fed by actions? Mental, verbal, bodily actions. So your killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, the sampapalapa, pisuna vacha, parusa vacha, and musawada, all these, all the lying, and you attended the class on Sunday, right? This came out. And the mind that craves, and the mind that longs, the mind that hates, and the mind that can't break out of its own assumptions and views. These are actions, and they feed the negative energies. You don't believe? Think about it this way. You force yourself to let go and give. You force yourself not to lie. You force yourself, you try and keep yourself from doing it right, to do things right, as opposed to giving in to some instincts and just do it, just let go. These actions are done without thinking, driven by your own ego. The more you do, the more the negative energies grow. That's what it means. So you have, right at the start, samaditi. In the middle, virya. Sama right effort. And then it's action that feeds your inability to contain the energy. This is Eightfold Path. Can you see that? You don't see that. And it goes on. The reason why you do misconducts, is because you are not sharp enough to catch the arising in the sense basis. You are not sharp enough to catch the arising in the sense basis, non-restraint. You didn't watch the sense doors. These are practitioner monks. They watch their mind very closely, so they will know exactly what the Buddha is talking about. Think, why do words come out of the mouth? Your mind has run away. It hasn't been paying attention. So maybe something you see, you don't like. Something you hear, you don't like. It doesn't agree with your taste. These are all sense bases. Doesn't agree with your taste. Instinctively, there's negativity and positivity will arise. You will whack. You will just lash out. You will just do it. So, non-restraint of the sense faculties will lead to you performing all those negative actions. The sense restraint, this inability to watch your sense faculties, because there is a lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension. What does this mean? You are not sharp enough to watch arising. And why were you not sharp enough? You didn't even understand what you were doing. Your mind doesn't even know that you should be watching. Maybe your mind knows. But at the point, let me just explain this. The two of them comes together. Lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension is a state of mind. One state of mind where there is a attentiveness, clarity about what's going on now, and you know exactly what it is. You can have mindfulness, meaning you know what's going on, but you don't know what is supposed to be important in this watching. For instance, you go on a retreat, you're being taught mindfulness, you're being taught to eat mindfully, and that's all you do. eat mindfully. Eat mindfully. This mechanical, robotic style of feeding yourself, what's the purpose? That's not the purpose. What's missing? Clear comprehension is missing. You may be aware of what you are doing at that point, but you don't know why you're doing it. You don't know what you're supposed to be looking for. You have no understanding whatsoever. So it becomes a mechanical mindfulness. No wisdom. No wisdom. For those of you who have gone beyond that, that you have figured out that in the mindfulness, the mindful watching, there is awareness of what's happening at that moment, and in that moment, why like this, what you should do next. There's a bit of a wisdom there. So this mindfulness has wisdom. Lacking this particular state of mind, and you don't practice it sharp enough, you will have no restraint of the sense bases. Sense faculties, sorry. You understand? Yes or no? Chima. Okay, like that lah, huh? Now, that particular state of mind wouldn't come up if you have what he calls ayoniso manasikara, a lack of effort to pay attention to what's going on. Then you say, it sounds like a bit of an overlap. It is. Buddha's describing the mind to a very finite level, very, very minute level. This is exactly what happens when you are doing your meditation, your mindfulness practice correctly. This is exactly what happens. Pay attention, observe what's going on, and understand. So you have this, if you build up the skill, you would actually pay attention to arising. You're aware of arising in the sense basis. And you don't hold to them. Okay, now, the next one. Why is it we don't pay careful attention? Why careless attention? Why slip short, in other words? Why are we slip short? Why we don't build that skill in watching the mind sharp and clear and put effort to stay that way? Why? This lack of faith, what does it mean? To some extent, it is it will be the lack of faith in Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Yes, okay. In our mind, in all our mind, we kind of know that Buddha's correct, lah. Huh? Kind of. You may disagree with me and furiously say, no, I know he's correct. Okay, fine. And you may have, if you have that belief Buddha's correct, and you say, Dhamma is probably correct also, lah. I agree with that. Okay. Then my next question to you is, why are you not practicing more? Why are you not doing mindfulness meditation more? Why are we not doing certain things more? And the reason could be, I know Buddha's correct, but we'll see how. You didn't have absolute faith in him that if you truly understand the Dhamma, the mind would be so happy that dukkha will end for you. So we prefer to have status quo plus rather than break the status quo and go all the way. You see what I'm saying? Yes, we have faith, but it's one of those faith where people go, I know. But not enough for you to buy into it absolutely. Because if you buy into it absolutely, we will say, break the status quo, go all the way. So that faith is, for one of, it's I won't say it's nominal, because we are not nominal, right? But not strong enough to believe that the end is so much better. Not that strong. So we want to then have our cake and eat it lah. So have a food here in the mundane life and enjoy the sense bases. Not too much dukkha. If the Dhamma can help me understand enough so that I don't have so much dukkha, enough. This time enough. That usually is how our mind works. Because this mundane world, this world is what we are familiar with. It is the hard to bear part that we don't like. So bo pian. Buddha said it works. Okay. We try and pick up the ones that make it work, and then we're happy. Then the rest next one handle lah. Right? And so that faith is not absolute. And because it is not absolute, in a daily life, we sometimes hardworking, sometimes not. Sometimes we try to pay attention, sometimes we don't. I've got mundane life to live leh. We have so much time to pay attention all the time. 这不是很辛苦? Instead, we will say like that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not questioning your faith. I'm saying the faith is not quite of the degree that make us want to practice and nail it. Not enough. And why is it not enough? Because we have not really understood Dhamma. I can assure you, if you begin to really understand the Dhamma, your faith will just jump exponentially. Exponentially. But as long as you don't really get it, you're buying insurance lah. Don't know whether you'll pay or not. Okay. So how then do you build the faith? You must read, you must hear, and that's how you feed it. Let me ask you, when you go on retreat and you listen to Dhamma talk every day, don't you feel really inspired to practice? Come out of retreat, go back to mundane life, all the inspiration also fly out the window, along with the air ticket home. Right? So it is true, when you read it, when you hear it, when you're with people who practice, you feel inspired to try. Faith built ma, then you will try a bit harder ma. But when you're not with the people who practice, you're not reading the Dhamma, you're not listening to the Dhamma, then mundane world will creep up on you lor. And Dhamma is to be postponed until next available opportunity lor. Right? We are like that. So it's true. Buddha's not wrong. That is exactly how we feed. And finally, you need inspiration. Because deep inside, we haven't seen the Dhamma enough. We can't inspire ourselves. Dhamma, therefore, hasn't taken on a life of its own within your mind to inspire you and keep you going. Therefore, you need the external inspiration from people and from the good Dhamma. Go look for it today. Now, Buddha's time, there isn't Dhamma available without human. Because no internet, no books. Therefore, it has to link all the way to associating with good people. Because you need the individual who is a receptacle of the Dhamma and he feeds the rest. Today is different. You can actually stop at hearing the good Dhamma because internet ma, books ma, you can actually read the Dhamma on your own. But ideally is you also feed it with people who practice. Associating with good people is people who practice sincerely. Yes, ideally you're talking about the 8 of them, but how do we know if the 8 of them are there? So never mind. If they're good practitioners and they're very sincere about it, and they are also reading the Dhamma, good enough. That's your Kalyana Mitta. He's the one who's going to say, you sure you want to do this? Isn't that kind of upsetting to our practice? then you feel bad a bit, then you restrain a bit. Like that lah. Okay? And it's important. It's important. In another sutta, the Buddha said that there are 3 ways in which you learn to control yourself. 1 is through yourself, your own understanding. 2 is actually having someone, the authority of someone out there, telling you, hey, it shouldn't be done like that. I forgot what's the 3rd one. But it's along that line. It's along people you know, and if I'm not mistaken, it's also with the practitioners. So the idea is, I think 1 is yourself, 2 is people, and 3 is the Dhamma rules. The Dhamma. But never mind. The point is, you do need, and I've always said this, you do need people who share your aspiration. Share your aspiration, share your faith, share your willingness to restrain your mind, restrain the negativities, and to meditate so that you can inspire each other. Okay? Now, I'm going to skip this section and go into the one that helps you get it right. In the last segment, he starts off saying the problem of ignorance. The problem of ignorance, right? Avijja. Now we are saying, look, ultimately what you want is that realization and the liberation. These 2 are not the same. 1 is the path, the other is the fruit. You understand what's done and how it is done, you will be able to feel the freedom in the mind. The relief, the release, the cessation, the liberation. So, true knowledge is how it is done. And you know it. Liberation is that sense of the release and the relief. Okay? In order that this can come about, the conditions must be there. The mind, the mental conditions must be there. So here he says there are 7 factors of enlightenment. You know what they are, these conditions. Okay? And then you say, how come these 7 factors of enlightenment, the next one says, in order that these 7 factors of enlightenment can be there, you need 4 foundations of mindfulness to feed it. This mindfulness is at different level. For you to be able to realize the knowledge, the Dhamma knowledge, that kind of mindfulness, that level of mindfulness is a particular type. Embedded in that type of mindfulness, there is wisdom. It's effortless, it's very sharp, there is wisdom, it is with clear comprehension. That particular type of mindfulness. Effortless, not the same as the one you are teaching yourself to eat mechanically, robotically. Not that one. That is a very simple, effortful kind of mindfulness. At the level where it will lead to all the other factors of enlightenment that pops up. Do you know what they are? Let's try. You all throw out the numbers. Sati, Dhamma Vichaya, investigation Dhamma, Virya, Piti, Pasadi, Samadhi Upeka. Okay. What does that say, that 7 of them? It is a mind that is very clear, very sharp, it's in the moment, it will instinctively wrap itself around the Dhamma ideas, the Dhamma understanding that pops up again and again. And there is a certain joy, a certain contentment, and a certain distance, it's a certain Upekkha. Basically, when you're looking at these things, you don't feel drawn in. There is a detachment. Why? Because ultimately, it's about seeing dukkha as it is. If you see dukkha and get yourself drawn into dukkha, you will cry in the meditation. So this 7 factors of enlightenment with that upekkha allows you to see the dukkha as it is without being drawn in. That's why you can see the dukkha and still smile. Okay? So these 7 factors of enlightenment, they don't come out one at a time. They come out together. They spin up together. So it's a mental state that has all 7 factors there together. Okay? And you can actually tell that they are not they are separate, but they are there. Not one at a time. So it doesn't mean I'm mindful, and therefore I can do this, and therefore I can do this. It doesn't mean that. It means you can do everything at the same time. You actually feel quiet, calm, focus, detach, and see the Dhamma as it unfolds. Effortlessly. Okay? How does the mind get to become like that? Because much time was spent teaching the mind to focus on the mind and form and body. Therefore, these 4 foundations of mindfulness, fixing the mind, making it pay attention again and again to the arising of sensations experienced by the form and sensations, mental states that unfolds in the mind. You keep putting your attention on these states. This is the practice that keep the mind recognizing what's going on now, again and again and again. You do it so well, it stays. That alertness, attentiveness to the moment stays. Okay? Therefore, these 4 foundations of mindfulness is what will feed that 7 factors of enlightenment. And how do you get to a state where you can keep focusing the mind on that 4 foundations? It's when sila comes in. Sila. It's a form of viriya, but it is also sila. Can you see that? Buddha, in having a conversation with Ananda, said, Ananda asked, why do we have sila? So that the mind, your conscience is clear, so that your mind can be light and happy and experience tranquility, and so on and so forth. That's why, right here, Buddha shows, if you want to be able to have mindfulness of the moment, you cannot be nasty. The mind must learn to be quiet and calm down a bit. Be nicer, be nicer. Okay? And it helps. You can learn to be holding on to your negativities if you start to pay attention to arising as it connects to your sense door. So restraint of the sense faculties. You actually teach the mind to observe and guard the sense faculties. Seeing is just a form. You tell yourself that seeing is a form, hearing is a sound, smell, taste. Guarding it means don't get caught up in the object. Note the object, don't react to the object. The object of the external world coming into contact with your eye, your ears, your eyes, your ears, the nose, tongue, form, the body. You understand that? Mental objects also. As they arise, just note. Don't get caught up. When you go on retreat, they make you eat slowly, they make you walk slowly. Yes? Got or not? What do you think you were doing at that point? You're not doing 4 foundations of mindfulness. You are actually supposed to be looking at the sense door. This is for you to be looking at hearing, see, sight, object, the contact. Become aware. You become aware of the sense organ registering the presence of object. That's a state of mind. This is mindfulness. It's just a state. That's why you pace. Observing how to put your attention at that sense door. You learn that first. Then you go on to learn when you are kind of getting the hang of it. Then you look at the form. That's why you start with the form first, you see, easiest. But people know, sometimes they say, why bother with form? Just go straight to the mind. Feelings I can feel. Mistake. Feelings you can get caught up very fast and spin around feelings. So, right at the start, observing your sense faculties' interaction with the external world. How do you do that? Well, if there is mindfulness and understanding. Why do you... So it goes on, mindfulness, clarity, an attempt to put your attention. This Yoniso Manasikara is this constant effort to keep bringing the mind to the object, keep bringing. So you make this effort, it will stay. After a while, you begin to understand. Why would you do it? Why put yourself through all this trouble? Because you really want to see the Dhamma. You believe, absolutely believe in the Buddha, that beyond just being content, there is a state so beautiful that it's worth all the effort. Absolute faith. How would that come about? Again, because you start to hear, start to connect, start to stay with the Dhamma. No matter how it has to start that way, someone inspiring you to want to practice, reading about the suttas, listening to the Dhamma, keeps you connected to the Dhamma. Connected to a point where you start saying, I really got to do this. I really want to do this. If you are the sort that comes only once a week and 6 days you don't do anything about Dhamma, you can't progress very far. It's difficult. You understand? Why? Because 6 days you behave one way, the 7th day you behave this way. Then after you try very hard, it's kind of work already, then revert to bad behavior. You go on a retreat, for 7 days you behave properly. They come out on a retreat, in 3 days gone. Why? Because the bulk of your life was to behave in a certain way. Then you force, try and contort yourself into the little box and behave in this way. Think like that, behave like that, reflect like this. But once you go back to daily life, your daily routine kicks in, and that's how it goes, you see. That's how it goes. So why then would you want to practice? What keeps you going? Every night you go pull out the sutta, you read. Every night you go and attend a talk. It's a reminder. Yes, Dhamma, man. Faith. Okay, faith. When I go and wait for my bus, I'll be very mindful. Yeah, faith will get you to become mindful, ma. I want to do it. I'm paying attention. That's Yoniso Manasikara. Paying attention, putting it there. Reflect carefully. Look at it. I'm beginning to see my sense door interacting with the world. I like this. I can see it. Yes, the mindfulness is settling down. I'm beginning to see the mind. I'm beginning to see the form. I move also, I can see. That's how it grows. And then finally, the 7 factors of enlightenment arise. Okay, now, this analogy is beautiful. It's not solid, it's liquid. It fills you up completely. You can feel it. it wells up in you. Nutriment fills you up. It keeps you going. For good or for bad, it keeps you going. Which is why we have to be very careful. When you give in to something negative, you will find suddenly you're beginning to behave in a certain way. It keeps you going. The negativities will spin. Likewise, when you make an attempt, you make an effort, it creates its own little spiral effect, you see. And it keeps you going. Now, oh, that's it. Boleh. We're done. Free up to knowledge. Oh, it's the next one that has more. Okay, never mind. Done. Any question? Any question?
Is the knowledge and liberation similar as knowledge and vision? Are they similar?
Knowledge and liberation?
Liberation and knowledge and vision. Vision.
Not similar. Come together, but they're not similar. Knowledge and vision, jnana dasana, seeing something, understanding it. The liberation is feeling the effect of it. They're not the same. You can see something and understand, and that's where you go, I think I'm beginning to get it. I feel good. But you don't feel, wow. You see what I'm saying? It's like when you go on retreat, and then the mind was very clear, you have a lot of sati, very mindful. That retreat, then you consider a fairly good retreat, right? You're very mindful, you're aware of the moment, you're aware of the mind, you're aware of arising, falling away. And then suddenly at that point it struck you. I'm seeing a moment of anicca. Impermanence hits you. See for yourself, understand how it flips. And you internalized it. This is anicca that the Buddha talks about. I'm so happy. Okay? That's jnana dasana. Maybe at that point, you feel very happy. You feel really good. This joyous thing. Then you're feeling it, it's beginning to get there. It really gets there when you sit quietly and the mind, because it feels anicca, it sees anicca. Everything in its psyche is now flipping, flopping anicca. Then suddenly you feel that what's there to cling on to? What's there to hold on to? All mind-made concepts. Your mind starts talking like that. Not construct, it starts to reflect like this. Suddenly you feel the sense of relief. And in that relief, you know you will never revert. It's like that. This is how you understand it. That's the fruit of your knowledge. So, in this practice, there will be the moment when you understand, because you see for yourself how the mind works, but you may or may not feel the relief that comes from that understanding. If that knowledge comes with it a sense of relief, a sense of joy, a sense of, in very small ways, because now we're talking about baby steps. Very small way, you feel that, actually I feel better. I know that life is still full of dukkha, and I know that there's a lot of things to handle, but I feel better because I just feel that, so what? Things just come and go anyway. It becomes a way your mind works. It shapes your pathways, in other words. Then that's when you're beginning to experience the fruit of your knowledge. Okay? And if indeed it works correctly, and you're really understanding it correctly, in your daily life, your priorities will start to change. It will. Big way, small way, all depends on your wisdom lah. But it will start to change. Okay? And your faith will grow. And that's where you go back and practice some more. That kind of experience is what you need for the faith to really grow. Because ultimately, you must understand this. Ultimately, in this practice, we will end up letting go of sense delight. All those things that gives you little thrill, little joy, you will start to find them a nuisance. You find them unnecessary. Then you say, if I don't derive joy from the simple things in life, right? The taste, the music, the thing, then like life not worth living, leh? No. That's where faith comes in, no? Do you believe that it's more? That's where your faith comes in, no? Because you completely reshape the way you understand the world, you see. From the belief that you must have this ability to satisfy your sense delight, absolutely. And therefore the need for money, the desire for money. Money for what? Money can eat. Money can't eat what, right? So you want money for what? Because money can buy you all those toys that enable you to enjoy sense delight. That's the only purpose of money. Whether for yourself to enjoy, for your loved ones to enjoy, or for someone else to enjoy, it's whatever lah. But that's, of course, some people lagi more atas, you know, money is about my face. I don't know how money becomes your face, but yeah. Okay lor. Jialat lah, yeah. So the thing is, it will start to rewire the way it really will reshape the way you think, because suddenly taste is just taste. And that is why for the mundane lay person who hasn't practiced, I won't say lay, I'll just say mundane person. The mundane person with no wisdom, they will say, how do you ever enjoy if you don't have sense delight? You don't even take delight in sense experiences. Oddly enough, can. Because the mind has rewired. Then it's different. Okay? So there is actually an organic process going on. Seriously, there is an organic process going on. In your brain, there's a rewiring going on. And that organic process is the result of the mental experiences and internalizing the information, the knowledge. Yes? No. You don't have to. In fact, if you feel this compulsion to watch, go watch, but watch your mind. Watch your mind enjoy itself. Watch the delight that you derive from the watching. And you keep watching that delight. Don't get caught up with it. Just watch that delight that arises. If you get it right, that watching that delight will lead you to become sian with that delight. Because delight, the delight it's like opium leh. You got to keep increasing the dosage until you go, wow, this is very tiring leh. This is so boring. What am I doing this for? This is so boring. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. So in order for you to actually see it happen, right, sometimes just go do it. But don't do it with negligence. Meaning your mind is not focusing on the contact, sense door guarding. You're not focusing on the contact, you're focusing on the object. I like the object. Salah, you're supposed to focus on the contact. And see, at the point when you touch, right, seriously, That moment when there is that contact, then the joy comes up. Oh, contact, the joy. But don't get caught up with that joy. Remember that contact. So that you can see this joyous, this gratification, how long does it last? And then when you start observing it carefully, you begin to realize that, oh no, I'm losing interest in it. I'm losing interest in it. Don't say, oh no, lah, just know that you're losing interest in it. This is the enlightenment moment. This is what you all have to observe, recognize, and remember. Okay? Okay, someone else has a question. Oh, you say, oh, him. Yes.
How we say internalize and you realize something. For example, when you're in a retreat, but once you go back to your mundane life, then you will regress. Like you lost your rewiring. Then you feel that, how am I able to try to find back? Because maybe I enjoy during the retreat, I feel good, and I want to, in my daily life, I want to find back. It's a bit hard.
There are a few things that you should be trying to do at a retreat. If you're relatively new to the retreat, the first thing you should learn is that skill of sati, the sati skill. Recognize how that skill comes about. Basically, you're doing exercises and then becoming really good at it. Okay? That's one. And know that this is a tool. A tool. This is not it. Being super sati is not it. It must be super sati with clear comprehension. Then you're on the right track. Okay? Second, go into the retreat armed with some understanding of Dhamma, true Dhamma. You arm yourself with nothing, you're then depending on the teacher to teach you when it's happening. Tell me, if you don't know what you're supposed to be watching, then now you're watching what you're watching. If you go on a retreat and you don't know what you're supposed to pay attention to, what are you paying attention to? My mind. Yeah, you see the mind. What are you supposed to see about the mind? So, go into your retreat already armed with an understanding of the Dhamma. Know the steps that the Buddha taught. Some people say, hey, we're not supposed to tell people so that they can find out for themselves. Really? Then why is the Buddha telling everything? You know better than Buddha? Cannot be, right? Buddha says everything. Once you really begin to understand the Dhamma well, you read the Dhamma and you will see he provided all the milestones and guideposts. Because he wants you to know what to look out for and see for yourself as it happens. What is faith? Faith is I'm taking what you say, lock, stock, and barrel. I am going strictly by how you say must be practiced. Again, lock, stock, and barrel. I believe you, I will do exactly as you say it. Then, if I don't tell you anything, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to see? What am I supposed to see? You see what I'm saying? So, just going by the sutta, I'll tell you it's not correct. The correct approach is I will tell you how the mind's supposed to work and what you're supposed to look out for. Doesn't mean I tell you know how to formulate the vision in your mind. Because once they start talking to you, you say, I formulate the vision, I'm doing accordingly. Then I start talking to you, I listen to what you say, I will know straight away you got it or not. Or you're trying to remember, coming before that, and after this, then we interject something different, and then you gabra, right? Because it's not part of your memory work, ma. So for sure, you will have to read, understand it, and then you can clean it. Meaning to say, I'm going to the retreat and I will just sit and watch the mind. As the Buddha said, do this, do that, do it this way, do it that way. Watch the nivaranas, go and look at develop the skill of sati and so on and so forth. I will start doing, I don't want to remember these things. You understand? When you, it sounds like a contradiction, it's not. You learn everything, anatta, right? The brain does its own thing, right? Okay, you learn, you understand, you remember, okay, you're supposed now to compare. You go on your retreat, don't try and remember the formula. It's supposed to be, then it comes with this, then it comes with this. That's not seeing the mind as it works. You basically stop thinking, stop remembering, stop trying to be so clever to be an A student. Just go in, spend the time, focus on the attention, focus on the breathing, looking at the mind carefully, and just wait. If you build up enough understanding, you build up enough skill in mindful watching, the panya will arise. You didn't build up enough knowledge, your skill of watching is not there, no panya arises. That's how it works. When there doesn't seem to be a joy in the practice, when the mind is beginning to understand aspects of the Dhamma, the mind is joyous. Every sati, Dhamma vichaya, viriya, piti, pasadi. These five, what does it have here? There is that joy and the contentment. So when you're practicing and all you're feeling is agitation, it means the mind says, I'm not seeing it, I'm not getting it, I'm not seeing it. So the agitation arises. But if in the process, there is actually a quiet contentment, there's a quiet enjoying of that moment, that means the mind is getting itself ready to relax and enjoy the arising of the Dhamma. Okay? You understand, huh? Okay.
Because I'm very new to South Buddhism, actually this is the first time I go through, a very, a very systematic way of introducing into Buddhism. So I just want to, it's a very general question, because I may be mistaken, but I think from my 2 lessons and the videos of your website, I don't know whether my perception is correct, is that what you are teaching now is like, it's more on the self and the mind, the focus to understand Dhamma, but from the sort of like very haphazard exposure to Buddhism, from what I've been exposed last time, it's more to cultivate loving kindness. So is there it's not a contradiction, but it's like, which focus is, should be the correct way to learn Buddhism?
If your mind is quiet and has wisdom, meaning the mind realizes what Dhamma is, the loving kindness springs forth spontaneously. Loving kindness is not the end, meaning I'm not to attain a state of compassion, loving kindness, equanimity. No, that's not what I seek to do. What the practice seeks to lead the practitioner to achieve, if you can call it achievement, is to guide the practitioner to understand how the mind works, so that the mind becomes completely at peace. In that state where the mind is at peace, it's in a state of unconditioned happiness, right? In that state, this individual, ultimately, the ego disappears. Because there isn't this I-making, mind-making, doesn't have all these, then it's metta, it's karuna, it's mudita, it's upekkha will be absolute. No need to try, they are always there. All of them together. Okay? all of them together. Meaning, I'm now upekkha mode. Afterwards, I will have mudita mode. No, it's all. It's a state of mind that experiences all together. Why do I say possible? You ask yourself this. Just in your mundane good mood, you're feeling really good. It's a good day. I feel very good. You see everybody, you smile. You see someone fall, you help because your heart bleeds for them. People come and say, hey, you know what, he did well. It's okay. You see, the only thing that's lacking is upekkha. Because there's an ego there. And yours is a conditional state. Yours is a conditional good mood, which leads to metta and karuna, but all conditional. It sits on your good mood. The person who is very well practiced, and the more they realize, the more that ego will shrink. The I will shrink. Imagine that ego is not quite there, doesn't quite feel it. And the mind is so light. What does he have? Peace, joy, a sense of happiness all the time. It's a quiet state of delight, happiness. Then this guy, this chap, this person, will then have that sensation of, wow. Will then have that sensation, that feeling of metta, karuna, mudita, and upekkha. The power is actually the upekkha. To have a state, to have a mind that is upekkha, and yet experience metta and karuna and mudita. For the rest of us, the rest of the world, when you experience metta, karuna, mudita is a bit rarer, but yeah, even when you experience a bit of mudita, right? The upekkha doesn't quite come in. It doesn't quite come in. And therefore the ego is still there. Okay? The Dhamma was a toolbox to help the world in their own mind. You see, if you know how to fix your mind, your very presence in whichever world you are, you can help another fix his mind. It is not about saving another. It's about knowing the skill, and so that you can help another fix it. Ask yourself this. If you have physical problems, physical conditions, messed up, but your mind is happy, how bad is the physical condition? Only the world feels bad. They don't feel it. If you don't have a physical condition, but your mind is messed up, how happy are you? You don't have a physical condition. You're well, you're healthy, but your mind is messed up. So why? It's great to help another, but wouldn't it be so much better if you can help another fix his mind? Then he will be happy. And if it works, he gets it, he will know how to fix. And you will have more people going around helping another fix their mind. That's how Dhamma saves. The method is not lost. It teaches another how to do it. Get it right, and you know how to teach. Get it wrong, who are you fixing? You haven't even fixed your own. Who are you fixing? You don't know how it works? What are you doing? It's that cute little expression which is not very appropriate to use in a Buddhist setting. You know, you teach someone to fish, he can eat for life. But that's not so good lah. You teach someone how to plant vegetable. He can eat for life. Huh? Okay. Okay? So next week, it's going to be the last session. Do you want another of these sutta or you want to ask questions instead? Seriously. So many suttas to look at. But you have really covered a lot, you know. By now, you should all be able to happily go off and teach sutta. No? Okay, so one more next week. All right, see you.